Strive for perfection in everything you do. Take the best that exists and make it better. When it does not exist, design it. Sir Henry Royce. Engineering is something that I've never been smart enough to understand. Too much math. But there are people out there in the world who somehow do understand it and have created amazing things, such as the ancient Romans, who had some fantastic ideas and some not so fantastic ideas when it comes to architecture and technology, which is why today we'll be discussing exactly that, ancient Roman architecture and technology. I'm Bree, and I'll be your guide. Welcome to the Scholarly Cheese Guild. There are many different styles used in architecture, but the ones that were used in Rome were heavily influenced by the Greek orders, those being Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. The one that was most commonly used was Corinthian, which is characterized by its large columns and ornate features. The materials used in their construction would vary, but they stuck to a couple of the main ones, like marble, which was used extensively, especially in state-funded buildings and statement pieces such as statues and some arches. Other materials used were bricks, stucco, which is a type of plaster, tufa, and pumice, and terracotta. There was one other material that Rome was famous for inventing, and very few people have been able to replicate it. This, of course, is Roman concrete. It was made using the materials pozzolana, which is a volcanic ash, lime, and salt water. There's a chemical reaction that happens when the salt water is mixed in, and it creates a rare crystal known as tobermite. Super cool, I know. Many of the buildings were made using this concrete, which is why much of ancient Rome is still standing today. But before I get into any more, let's take a break and head over to the Mischief Corner.
Oh, hello there. Sorry, I was using the restroom. You know who else used restrooms? Well, pretty much everyone, but the ancient Romans, that's who I'm talking about. But their restrooms were very different from ours, as many of them were communal. When I say communal, I don't mean stalls. And what's even weirder is that they didn't have toilet paper, but instead would use a communal sponge on a stick to wipe with, if you'd like to imagine that. Now, that doesn't sound very sanitary, but if you ask me, the Romans weren't exactly known for their sanitariness, as they also used urine as toothpaste. I mean, you can imagine, the issues. But apparently there's, ammonia in urine, and that helps break down your plaque in your teeth, and it keeps them good and healthy. But please, for the sake that all that is good, do not use urine as toothpaste. The fact that that even needs to be said. Anyways, that is today's jacked fact.
Okay. That's very interesting. Let's just move on. So, we've talked about the styles and materials that ancient Rome used, but what about some of the famous buildings that came out of these? There are a few different structures that ancient Rome is famous for, and the first being private homes, which were known for their elegance, and they even had apartment blocks. They also had theaters and amphitheaters, which were known for their magnitude and beauty. They had bathhouses, which we already talked about. And finally, one of Rome's most famous inventions is their aqueducts and bridges. And these were channels that brought clean, fresh water to Roman houses and cities. The impact of these are present today with plumbing and sanitary systems. But what is the impact of all of this? Rome has left a huge legacy when it comes to architecture and technology by giving us great ideas like the aqueducts and their use of concrete. Their genius also gives us a small look into what life was like in ancient Rome, which is always an interesting rabbit hole to fall down. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all who have partaken in today's historical odyssey. To delve further into the vast realm of knowledge, I implore you to pledge your allegiance to the channel and heed the beckoning chime of the notification bell.